By the time Meghan Markle whispered, "Make sure they cut that part," the cameras were already rolling. And someone had decided this time, nothing was getting cut, because what happened next didn't just crack her royal image. It exposed a side of fame daytime TV was never meant to show. "Just remember," Meghan Markle said, fastening her bracelet, "I'm not here to be made small. If she tries, I'm walking out." Her assistant nodded. "You're the story." A few minutes later, Lorraine Kelly was live. "Welcome back," Lorraine said, that familiar warmth in her voice. "Our next guest is someone who's lived under a spotlight most of us can't imagine. Meghan Markle, good morning." Applause rose as Meghan walked on. She gave the audience one quick glance, then sat. "Good morning," she said. "Thank you for having me." Lorraine turned, hand outstretched. "It really is good to have you here." Meghan shook it once, then looked straight into the main camera. "Let's just hope this stays respectful," she said. "Some interviews haven't." Lorraine smiled. "We like a calm morning here," she replied. "We talk to real people about real lives. That's what our viewers connect with." Meghan's smile was thin. "Your viewers connect with stories," she said. "They dip into someone else's life for an hour, then go back to their own. That's television." "They're more than viewers," Lorraine answered. "They're teachers, nurses, carers, parents. They're not props. They're people." "With respect," Meghan said, "they don't carry what I do. When I speak, it's international news. When they speak, it's a chat in the break room. There are levels to this. I live it. They watch." The studio went quiet. "So when you look into that lens," Lorraine asked, "who do you think is actually there?" "People who follow me," Meghan replied. "People curious about my life. They're the audience. I'm the story. That's reality." "You see them as audience first, people second?" Lorraine asked. Meghan shrugged. "They know their role. Some stand in the light, some sit in the seats. Not everyone is meant to be the main event." A sharp breath came from somewhere in the crowd. "I'm going to stop you there," Lorraine said, her voice losing its softness, "because everyone in those seats has just heard exactly where you've put them." For the first time, Meghan looked properly at the audience. "If the truth offends them," she said, "that's not my problem." Before any storming off, before any microphone was ripped away, one thing was already clear. In Meghan Markle's world, the people watching weren't beside her. They were beneath her. Lorraine held Meghan's gaze, the usual cozy tone gone. "Just so we're absolutely clear," Lorraine said slowly, "when you say the truth, you mean your truth, your view of the world. And that view has just put millions of people in the category of what? Background?" Meghan's eyes narrowed. "I mean the truth that there are people who lead and people who consume," she replied. "People who drive global conversations and people who sit on their sofa and comment on them. It's not an insult, it's structure." Someone in the front row shook their head. Meghan noticed. "Perfect example," she said, nodding towards the audience. "They'll go home and talk about how ungrateful I am. They'll tweet, they'll post, but tomorrow I'll still be the headline. That's the difference between living the story and watching it." Lorraine leaned forward a little. "Do you hear how that sounds?" she asked quietly. "To that person you just pointed at? To the nurse, the single dad, the cleaner watching this before a shift?" Meghan crossed her legs, unbothered. "I can't water down reality just to make strangers feel better," she said. "I worked to get here. I sacrificed. I stepped into this level. Not everyone is willing to pay that price." "And you don't think," Lorraine said, "that someone working nights in a hospital has paid a price? Someone caring for a parent with dementia, are their sacrifices smaller because they don't come with a red carpet?" Meghan gave a short, disbelieving laugh. "You're trying to make this emotional," she said, "and that's what daytime does. You take complex, high-level experiences and flatten them into cozy stories about ordinary people. I'm not ordinary, and I'm not going to pretend to be to make your viewers comfortable." The room tightened. No sound, just that shared, heavy silence. Lorraine's jaw set for the first time. "Nobody asked you to pretend to be ordinary," she replied. "They asked you to respect that their lives have weight, even if there's no camera pointed at them." "I have nothing against them," Meghan said, "but I won't apologize for living on a bigger scale. Some people were born to sit on sofas and watch. Some of us were born to sit on sofas and be watched. That's all I'm saying." In the control room, someone whispered, "Is she hearing herself?" Lorraine didn't look away. "And you don't think," she said, voice a degree colder now, "that saying that out loud on this show to this audience might just be the moment they decide they're done watching?" For the first time, a flicker of irritation crossed Meghan's face. "If this is going to turn into an attack," she said, "then maybe this was a mistake." And with that single sentence, the balance of power in that studio quietly shifted. Lorraine didn't flinch. A mistake, she repeated calmly. Because I asked how your words might land with the people who've supported you? Meghan's eyes hardened. Because you're trying to frame me as ungrateful and arrogant, she said. I came here to talk about global projects, serious initiatives, and instead we're stuck in this emotional trap about people back home. Lorraine lifted her cue cards, then put them straight back down. The people back home are the reason this show exists, she replied. They're the reason there's a camera pointed at you right now. You keep speaking as if they're props in your story. Meghan gave a sharp, humorless smile. They're viewers, she said. They know what they are. They tune in, they tune out. Tomorrow they'll obsess over someone else. That's how it works. Lorraine's voice cooled another degree. And you don't think they're owed basic respect while they're here? She asked. You don't think calling them background, audience, smaller lives, crosses a line? I never use the phrase smaller lives, Meghan said quickly. You're putting words in my mouth. Classic British media tactic. Twist, inflame, sell. You said, Lorraine answered, that some people were born to sit on sofas and watch, while others were born to be watched. That sounds like tears of value, whether you use the phrase or not. Meghan leaned forward now, the friendliness gone. What it sounds like, she said, is you trying to score a viral moment. You poke, I react, you get your headlines. I didn't come here for that. This show has been on air longer than most headlines last, Lorraine replied evenly. We're still here because we treat our viewers as people, not numbers on a dashboard. Meghan's jaw clenched. I have dealt with levels of scrutiny you cannot imagine, she snapped. You sit here in this cozy little studio and act as if you understand. You don't. Lorraine held up a hand. Please don't patronize me, she said quietly. I've been in this chair for decades. I've seen people rise, fall, reinvent themselves, disappear. The ones who last are the ones who remember the audience are human beings, not an algorithm. A murmur of agreement moved through the crowd. Meghan heard it and laughed sharply. There it is, she said. The pile-on. You turn them against me, then act shocked when I say interviews like this are hostile. Nobody turned them, Lorraine replied. They listened. They heard you. They're reacting. That's what you said you wanted, isn't it? Attention? Meghan's eyes flashed. I wanted a platform, she said. Not a lecture from a morning host in a room full of strangers who think they know my life. Lorraine's next words were quiet, but they carried all the way to the back row. These strangers are the people who bought into your story when you said you understood them, she said. You told the world you knew what it felt like to struggle. Today you've made it very clear you don't see them as equals at all. Meghan sat back, breathing harder now. You're putting me in a corner, she said, and I don't stay in corners. Lorraine didn't look away. Then stand up, she said, but don't pretend you were pushed. For a heartbeat, no one knew what Meghan would do. Then, very slowly, she reached for the wire of her microphone. Lorraine watched her hand move. Meghan, she said evenly, if you take that off, I can't ask you anything else. Are you sure that's what you want people to see? Meghan's eyes were cold. What people see has been twisted my entire life, she replied. At least this time, they'll see why I walked. You're walking, Lorraine said, because I asked you to respect them. Meghan stood up. The movement was sudden enough that a camera operator flinched. The wire of the microphone tugged at the back of her outfit. You're putting words in my mouth, Meghan snapped. You're painting me as some kind of villain, because I dare to say my life is different. It is different. I worked for this. I bled for this. They didn't. A low noise moved through the audience. Not quite a boo. Not yet. Lorraine stayed seated, looking up at her guest. No one's denying you've had a hard road, she said. No one's denying you've been treated badly by parts of the press. But you walked in here and told ordinary people they were born to sit and watch you. If you can't see why that stings, then maybe the problem isn't the headlines. Meghan pointed toward the cameras. This is exactly why I left certain countries' media behind, she said. You smile, you nod, and then you stab. I've done interviews with the biggest names in American television, and I've never been disrespected like this. Maybe, Lorraine answered. They didn't ask what needed to be asked. Meghan's face flushed. Do you know who you're speaking to? She hissed. Yes, Lorraine said softly, a guest. And like every guest on this sofa, you are not above the people who watch this show. The audience burst into applause almost on instinct. Meghan's head snapped around at the sound, disbelief written across her face. "Oh, please," she said. "Just clap if it makes you feel powerful. Clap because for 1 minute you get to pretend you're on my level." The clapping faltered. Lorraine's expression changed. The warmth was gone now, replaced by something steely. "All right," she said, standing at last. "That's enough." Meghan laughed, but it was brittle. "You don't get to tell me when it's enough." "This is my studio," Lorraine replied. "My name on the mug, my team, my audience. You came here asking for a platform. You got one, and you used it to belittle the very people keeping this show and your career alive." Meghan yanked the microphone free. The sound popped through the speakers, sharp and ugly. "I don't have to stand here and be humiliated by a daytime presenter," she spat. "This," she gestured around, "is beneath me." There it was, the sentence no PR team could spin. Lorraine didn't raise her voice. "Then don't sit on my sofa," she said. Silence. Then, all at once, the audience gasped. Meghan grabbed her bag with shaking hands. "You'll regret speaking to me like this," she said, her voice trembling with anger. "You have no idea the calls that will be made after this." "And you," Lorraine replied, "have no idea how many people have just decided they're done making excuses for you." For a heartbeat, Meghan seemed to search for a line that would win the room back. Nothing came. She turned, heels striking the floor, and walked off the set without looking back. The cameras never cut. The door closed behind her with a dull, final thud, and for the first time in the show's long history, Lorraine Kelly was left standing alone in the middle of a live, stunned silence. Every eye in the building waiting to see what she would say next. For a long, dangerous second, Lorraine said nothing. She just stood there, microphone in hand, in a studio that suddenly felt like a courtroom. For a long, dangerous second, Lorraine said nothing. She just stood there in the middle of the set, microphone in hand, in a studio that suddenly felt like a jury box. Then she turned to the audience. "Well," she said, a faint, weary smile tugging at her face, "that was not quite what we had written on the script this morning." A soft wave of laughter broke the tension. People exhaled. "I want to say something," Lorraine continued, her voice firmer now. "Not about her, about you." The room fell quiet again. "You got up early," she said. "Some of you after night shifts, some of you before long days. You traveled here, queued, sat in these seats, clapped for our guests, smiled at our team. You gave us your time, and your time is not small." She glanced at the empty chair where Meghan had been. "Whatever anyone sitting on this sofa thinks," she went on, "you are not beneath them. You are not just the audience. You are people with lives, bills, grief, love, responsibility. And this show exists because you choose to be here, at home or in this studio, not the other way round." The applause came hard and fast. This time, nobody hesitated. "I'm not going to apologize," Lorraine added, "for pushing back when someone speaks about you like background noise. If that costs us an interview, I can live with that a lot easier than I can live with staying silent." People stood, some clapped, some just nodded, like she'd said something they'd waited years to hear someone on television admit. In the control room, a producer stared at the live feed. "It's already being clipped," he muttered. "They'll call it the walkout." "Fine," another replied. "Just make sure they leave in this part." By that afternoon, the internet would pick sides. By tonight, the debate would be everywhere. And now it's your turn. If you'd been in those seats, hearing a guest say you were born to watch, would you have clapped when she walked out, or when the host finally drew a line? If you believe ordinary people deserve more than to be treated as background for someone else's spotlight, prove it where it counts. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next time a celebrity forgets who's really keeping the cameras on. And tell me in the comments, honestly, in this showdown between Meghan Markle and Lorraine Kelly, whose side are you on and why?